In Lesson 8, the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. The standards are 8.6g and HG7. This is section 10.1 in your textbook if you need to look. You need to be able to explain Pythagorean theorem and how it works. You can determine from whether a right triangle is a right triangle by using it, and you can identify the triples or our standards. So the first question is, what is the Pythagorean theorem? And I'd like you to take a moment, and I want you to look at the theorem, and a lot of you will write this first part down, but what I really want you to do is I want you to write it out in words. So look back at yesterday's notes, pause the video, and I would like you to write that out. Now, as you come back from writing that out, this is what I am really looking for. For any right triangle, what are we looking at? It is the sum, remember, that's your addition, sum of the square of the legs. What are our legs? A and B. And you're squaring both of them, so a squared and b squared. So the sum of the square of the legs equals the length, the square, we should say, the square of the length of the hypotenuse. What kind of figures does this work for? Only right triangles. It's the only geometric polygon it works for. So, as you read through this next part, the converse, the Pythagorean theorem says, we know a right triangle is a right triangle if a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Next year, as you're into geometry, you're going to do a lot more with these type of if-then statements, but the converse is just switching around the if-then part. So the new statement becomes, if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then it is a right triangle. So the converse is true, or it may not be true. The converse of the Pythagorean theorem is true. Then we can use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to decide what kind of a triangle if it's not a right triangle. So if a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, it's an acute triangle. If a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you have a right triangle. And if a squared plus b squared happens to be less than c squared, it's obtuse. And our main one is that we're generally going to just be checking if it is a right triangle. It's just kind of nice to know those other two, but I'm not going to be asking you to write that. So, identifying if it's a right triangle. So the first thing as we think of our converse is we want to start with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In this case, we are looking at 6 squared plus 8 squared, and we're trying to check, does it equal? So please put a question mark, 10 squared. Now most of you could be going in your head, yeah, 36 plus 64 equals 100, and this is 100. So, is this going to be a right triangle? And we would say, yes, it is a right triangle. We look at the next one. Again, you want to start it off the same way. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is going to be our question that we're trying to determine. Is 16 squared, hopefully by memorizing those perfect squares, you remember that's 256, equal to 10 squared plus 12 squared? 100 plus 144. And we can see that this is going to be 244, and that is not the same as 256. So this one is not a right triangle. And that's all you're going to kind of be looking at, is trying to show the converse. So right now, I would like you to pause the video and set it up in the same way in your notes. So you're going to always start with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Do that for the next two. As you're doing that, you are then going to put in your numbers. Remember, when you put your numbers in, it is a question. That's what we're trying to figure out. Is 14 squared plus 17 squared equal to 23 squared? And again, you're going to just simply put these in your calculator. 14 squared plus 17 squared. Does it equal 23 squared? Pause the video and do it for the next two, and then when you turn the video back on, you will see these different answers. So as you are looking, you should have had the first one being no, it is not a right triangle. In the second one, again, I'm going to see all your work written down, and I'm going to see yes it is, that 22 squared plus 100 is 122 squared. And in the last one, you should again have no, that when you put these in your calculator, they do not work out. And again, you should have all the work written down here as you are looking at this. Put it in your calculator by all means, but you should have this work as you are looking at yours, okay? As we take a look at the Pythagorean triples. Pythagorean triples are going to be special. It's a special name we have for 3, and it has to be positive integers. A, B, and C. The easiest one is 3, 4, 5, and then any multiples of that. So you could have 6, 8, 10. You could have, if you're multiplying by 4, you could have 12, 16, and 20. 5, 12, 13, 7, 24, 25. These are the 3 smallest ones that we think of. It says most right triangles do not have the side length that are all integers. So triples are very special numbers. So these are the 5 special ones. This is the one we probably see and hear a lot of, but all of these are nice ones, and notice they're all positive integers. No decimals, no fractions. So, do these triangles form Pythagorean triples? First thing you need to look at, are they all whole numbers? Yes, and they're positive. So now we just need to make sure for our explanation, we need to show that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So we are going to put in 12 squared. Make sure you always identify your c. Remember, c is the longest side, it's across from our hypotenuse. And then usually a is the shortest and then b, although it doesn't matter if you switch these two around. So we have 12 squared plus 35 squared is equal to 37 squared. And we are checking this, okay? So we are now going to put in our calculators if we need to, put in 12 squared plus 35 squared. And we're trying to see, is that equal to 37 squared? And in this case, if we are taking a look, 37 squared should give us a solution of 1,369. And if you put these two in your calculator, 12 squared plus 35 squared, you do get that same answer. So is this one a Pythagorean triple? We are going to say yes. 12, 35, 12 squared plus 35 squared does equal 37 squared. So is it a Pythagorean triple? And your explanation is simply just putting that it worked, right? So now you're going to look at this one. Please put in your calculator again. 6 squared plus 24 squared, does it equal to 25 squared? Remember, longest side is always by itself. So when we go to look at our right triangle, this is what we're trying to see. Are these triples? We don't even know if this is a right angle. That's what we're testing. So if you put this one in your calculator, please do that. And if you want to pause the video, and we should see that no, these do not, because it is not equal when we take a look at that. Your homework tonight is on page 617, 23 to 38. You're doing all of them. And right now what you're going to do is, the next thing you're going to do is take a quiz. So you can take out a half sheet of paper from the front that the sub will give you. They're right under the remotes in the front. And here is your quiz. So pause this so that you can take the quiz. Find the length. You must show your work and label your answer. So I want the answer in centimeters. I want the formula. I want all of that. And the sub will just pause this for you to take the quiz. 2 questions. Thank you and have a good day.